I talk so much shit about people that do plyometrics for rehab, but this is like the one context where I'm like, all right, these are the people that probably need to be doing this sort of stuff because of the types of force that they're going to have to create and buffer within the sport that they're playing. And like, of course, like time of year, like are they in season, are they off season? Like this all plays a factor into it. But like you need to go from assessment to output within like 30 minutes.
Yeah, and two, I love what you were saying about like pivoting, because if you can't pivot when things don't go right for them, then they're going to lose trust in you. Like, oh, you're just like everybody else that's worked with me. Like, I could tell you so many stories. I had a guy, he's like over 350 pounds, hip labrum issue. So I kind of came in, here's the plan, you know, I'll try some sort of lunge variation, probably start with an ISO. I'll do like a B stance RDL, you know, like doing things trying to get more rotation to the hip, build some awareness around the pelvis. And I remember getting him into a stationary lunge ISO, just like bilateral support. And he had a look on his face like he was going to kill me. Stopped right away. It's like, you know, like basically like, fuck you, this hurts. I was like, oh shit, okay. Let's try a B stance RDL. B stance RDL, no go, like right away. I'm like, oh, okay, bilateral. He's like, cool. That felt really good. So we did that. You know, probably got some exercise-induced analgesia. Then I went back, tried the lunge again. You know, I kind of walked him through, hey, here's what you were doing wrong from a positional standpoint on the lunge. I want you to fix this. I want you to use the support as much as you need to. Let's get in the right position. I think you're going to feel it better. He fixed it right away. It felt really good. We're like 30 minutes in, he's dancing. And you could tell it too, like when the guy walked in the room, like he just seemed discouraged. He'd been dealing with this injury for a while and like hadn't felt good in a long time. 30 minutes in, dude's dancing. Like, okay, cool. Like we did something right here. And like, doesn't take a whole lot of special shit either. It's just in two, it's like, I can give you an example, another guy with like a hurt knee. We're just doing like basic step downs. Like, nah, my knee hurts. Cool. Okay. Bilateral support. Hey, dowel on each hand. And dude, this is like a guy on almost a 9-figure contract. Can't do it like a step down. You bilateral support. Cool. Now we find a place to work with, right? But it's like someone gives you resistance, and I had this happen so many times with this gym pop, where they're like, oh, now this hurts. It's okay, it hurts right now, but like, hey, let's try this, right? Like, it's not a yes or no. It's like, hey, okay, this doesn't feel good. We can make adjustments to this, right? We can move laterally on the spot to make sure we meet you where you're at, so we can keep making progress, right? Or we can start making progress, really. I think so many people think it's like this very like, you know, hard black and white, like, okay, this hurts, therefore I cannot do this. Like, no, it's like we can make adjustments on the fly as long as you know what we're looking for. And that's like the whole thing we teach in level 1, right? It's just like basic indexing. Okay, this is not working, but what's the closest regression of this? Or this is too easy. What's the closest progression of this? If we can start to make make progress really quickly.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that point, because that's pretty much exactly what I do with my clients. And like some of the most impactful stuff is like one of the most useful things to me is if I can recreate pain. Like if I can create the pain that you're having, then I have a baseline. I have an understanding of where you're at. And then the thing about exercise, and even like very low tier exercises, is they're effective in a short period of time and we can make changes really quickly. So typically what I'll do, like a client like that, say like the hip labrum, for example, exact situation, exact kind of format you went through, is like, I'll find something that makes it feel bad, and I'll kind of just go through my brain and index and be like, all right, like hip flexion, internal rotation, like probably not good right now. What can I do? Understanding that there's an injury to this area, there's probably muscle guarding that is inhibiting proper mechanics in this area. So what can I do to go through to create better mechanics, better stability, better range of motion here, and then come back to this and retest? Because I think one of the best things to build trust is if you can recreate that pain, and then you can show them in a very short proximity that you can make that reduce or go away, right? So it's like, all right, hip labrum, like whatever, we can't do a B stance RDL. Let's go through, and I do fucking super low tier shit, but in a very specific way. Like I'll grab a softball, let's roll through those external rotators. Like let's do a single leg glute bridge. Let's do like a supine 90-90, something to get their core firing. And then let's go through, like you said, like maybe you go bilateral and then you come back afterwards and you test the unilateral, the B stance RDL, or you test the isometric lunge, and you can create changes in a short period of time. And like the best question like that I can ask someone is like, all right, we did this before. Like, I'll even tell them if it causes pain, I'll be like 0 to 10, where's it at? 6 out of 10. All right, 6. We have a 6. Now we're going to go through X, Y, and Z. We're going to come back, and I want you to tell me, is it better, worse, or the same? Like 0 to 10, where's it at? It's at a 4? Okay, good. And then it becomes a learning process for them too. Like it's a teaching opportunity. It's like, hey, look, you have control over this scenario. Like this was just a 6 and now it's a 4 after 4 minutes of work. Like if you take these 4 minutes of work and you do them before practice, you do them before your weight room sessions, like you're going to be setting a better trajectory for that session. And then the more sessions we could stack with that trajectory, then the less sessions you're going to have where you're in pain or you're not able to step on the field. I think that's like a really impactful teaching experience, is when you can get someone to feel the pain that they're feeling. Like, okay, I understand this pain. I understand that it's there. I also want you to learn the things that are going to make it go away. And those are the types of things that if you can do that and you can think on your feet and you can be effective with it, that's what really builds trust with those clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like one of the biggest opportunities for success with them, I think, especially with a short window of work, whether it is you get a month like you're lucky, or like you said, I've had some guys I've gotten 1-2 sessions with, and I've just given them drills to do on their own. And they're like, oh, sick. Yeah, my knee feels better. But it's like, if I can get hands on, kind of assess somebody, run them through some drills, and then one, show them value. And hey, when we do these things, like you go from a 7 to a 3, or from a 6 to a 4, or, you know, whatever pain differential it is, like you can show some value there, then also build some awareness. Like, hey, like, you know, you only get knee pain because when you're on one leg, your pelvis kind of rotates away from the lead leg and you get knee valgus. So like the reason your knee hurts because you're just cranking on your knee. Don't use those words with an athlete, but like, you know, for us, that makes sense. Like, hey, you can't control your hips. Like keep your hips facing square when you go step down. And then it's like, now your knee doesn't hurt. It's like, cool. Now we've associated position and an exercise with my knee feeling better. I'm going to buy into that. That's something that's super easy to do on our own. You know, I don't have to come keep seeing you for you to keep doing these things on your own.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man. I feel like we're getting into a time period where the most effective trainer or therapist is something in between, right? It's not necessarily that you have to have the credential of the other, but like, if you're a therapist, you can't just live in like the traditional rehab, like, passive modality mindset. Like you have to understand strength training to like a good degree, not just surface level, to like actually be able to progress someone to get strong, to be fast, to be powerful, to be explosive, and vice versa. Like if you're in the strength training space, like you can't just understand strength training really well and then just have that drop off when it comes to lower stimulus, lower tier, like preparation, assessment. Like you almost have to understand that to a clinical degree, maybe not to the same depth of like diagnosis, but to the depth of, all right, like I know that something's going on here. I understand hip mechanics. I understand how, you know, pelvic position, lumbar position, spinal position relates to torque at the hip, knee, foot pressure. Like you have to be able to relate the body regions in that way, in like an actual tactile on the floor way, to be able to assess. And you really have to be able to bridge the gap between those two, because there's so many people still that I talk to that they have their, you know, chiropractic, PT, whatever, AT degree, and they just live in that lane, which is like, okay, there's some utility to that, but if that's all you do, like you need to work with someone that you can communicate with on the strength side of things. Like it has to be a successful co-management relationship, versus like a lot of the stuff I see now, like especially the stuff that you're doing, like the concierge stuff, is like people aren't going to coordinate with 2 different professionals to come out, one to do their rehab, one to do their
Exactly.
strength, right? So you need to like really ride that line in between. You need to be able to do both at the same time to create a lot of value for your service, to put yourself in position for these opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of the big reasons too. You know, I've been talking with you and Shallow about me getting my LMT, but that's just like the direction of the industry, is like you need to be a bit more versatile. Because like I've worked with an athlete with B-Tran, and it was kind of like the vibe was, you know, why do I need 2 of you? You know, like, so it's good to have a team, and, you know, like a lot of us will kind of interchange clients together. But, you know, I think if you're trying to really find value, like if I were to go back and give myself advice straight out of school, it wouldn't be like keep trying for physical therapy school, but hey, just like go get your LMT, get some ability to do manual. You can always work with a clinician. Like I have B-Tran in my corner. So any questions I have that are clinical, even if it's like, I'm pretty sure it's not clinical, I'll just still ask, hey, like, here's what it's presenting as, here's what they're saying, or here's like the documents, like, what are your thoughts? Like, anything I need to avoid? So we can still cover our bases there. But like, at the end of the day, like you were saying, a lot of it needs to be bridged back into strength training. And I think that's where a lot of traditional therapy fails. And you kind of get the two ends where it's like, we're underloading everybody, or it's like, I'm this like edgy physical therapist and my clients deadlift. And it's like, is that what they need though? Like there has to be a middle ground somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. I'd say honestly, like the most cost effective, time effective, and skill set effective way to accomplish that is exactly what you said. It's like a CSCS and an LMT. Like they're things that you can obtain within decent cost and decent time period while still kind of working, getting experience. They're going to allow you that skill set that aren't going to, they're not going to bias you so much in one direction or the other, right? Like it's like chiropractic school, very fucking expensive. And you learn a lot of fluff that like, I don't fucking use. Like when I work with athletes, I'm not a chiropractor, I'm a trainer. Like when I work with anyone really, I'm a trainer. Like I work with rehab and I'm a trainer. Cause like most people, I don't use chiropractic in the sense of like I'm cracking joints or cracking bones or doing adjustments. Like there's very few clients that I work with, especially athletes, that I actually adjust. Like maybe sometimes SI and like ankles, but other than that, it's very infrequent. But by doing tissue work, like getting hands-on, it gives you a lot of feedback to where they're at, like sympathetically. Like if you feel like there's muscle tension in one area versus another, like you can. That's a lot of times my assessment is like, all right, we'll have you go through like some walking lunges, put your hands over your head. Let's see thoracic rotation, core control. But like the majority of my assessment is what are they feeling? Like their subjective history. What are your symptoms? And how do you feel to me? Like objectively, where can I feel muscle tension? Like where can I start to see muscle bias? And then like, let's train. Like, how do you move when you train? Like, what's your coordination? What's your intention? What's your perception of where you're at in space? Like all that stuff. And like, I think that the unfortunate thing is like credibility in terms of degrees. It does matter in certain cases, but I think a CSCS opens pretty much all the doors you need open on a strength side. And then an LMT opens I'd say the perception on your side to just have a layer deeper into like what you're assessing and how you're affecting that. Cause like I'm a fucking LMT when I work with athletes. Like I'm mostly doing like assisted stretches. Like you can get hands-on, like test like passive range of motion. You can do muscle work. You can make very quick changes. Like I can have you throw a lacrosse ball into your external rotators and hop on a foam roller for your lat and like hope that you did it with a high degree of specificity, or I could just throw my thumb in there, my elbow in there, and I can make sure that it gets done and like kind of expedite progress. So I think that's like, kind of like you said, I think that's a very potent combination for like where the industry is right now. If you're looking to maximize like that specifically, like your effectiveness with clients, I think that's the recipe.